All right, good morning. As of this time, it is Monday, the 27th, and it is 10:45, so it's still Monday. I don't know, it's still morning, and I don't know if it'll still be morning by the time this video uploads, but we're just gonna, do it anyway and hope for the best. So that was the introduction out of the way. Now, Roe v. Wade has been overturned, and the internet has been arguing and yelling and agreeing at itself and one another for the last 72, 48 hours. It's been glorious. It's been a wonderful time. And in that time, all the memes and all the tired old arguments have been played out in the typical, predictable NPC fashion. However, there's one in particular I feel that needs to be addressed. And it's one that I've heard that disturbs me because it implies and suggests a level of propagandized brainwashing that we have been conditioned to for the sake of tolerance, open-mindedness, and just in general the false humility of a variety of perspectives, and it comes from women, strangely, and it comes from women who say something akin to the following: I would never get abortion, but, and here's the but, even though it was never for me, I shouldn't stop someone else who thinks that they need this procedure. And I actually have a sincere problem with that perspective, because what I do need to ask these women, and what I hope these women ask themselves in the near future, is that they honestly stop, take a look in the mirror, and ask themselves sincerely, okay, what kind of abuse would it take for me to feel it necessary to get an abortion? Actually sit down with yourself and actually ponder that question. What kind of abuse, what kind of scenario would it take for you as a woman who couldn't even imagine getting the procedure done yourself? What kind of situation would actually justify, in your own head, you getting an abortion? I want to know this, because we want to be honest, we want to be open-minded, and I want you to understand the kind of scenario that would exist, where you yourself would feel personally inclined and you would feel compelled to get an abortion rather than killing the baby growing inside of you. And here's the problem that I have with this position that women seem to be having in response to Roe v. Wade, is they say, well, it was never meant for me, I personally would never get one. Okay, you need to understand that you are your only true metric for understanding what truth is in the world around you. And you have to honestly assess, okay, if I wouldn't get one, why would I potentially get one? Under what scenario would you personally feel that would be necessary? And if I were to take a wandering guess, a hypothesis, it would be a situation in which you were violently abused and violated. A situation in which you were gaslit, controlled, manipulated into killing your child. That's what I would hazard to guess. And instead of addressing the fact that this horrible situation should itself be remedied rather than killing the life and child growing inside of you, your instinct is to instead just let the baby die. I have a problem with that. I sincerely do. I think that is a sincere lack of personal integrity. It is a lack of personal integrity to say, I would never do this, but I think it should be okay for other women. Ladies, you are not that radically different from other women when it comes to your desire and your connection with your unborn child. And these are women who do have children. Women who have children who said, oh, I would never do it, it's not meant for me, but I think that other women might need it, so therefore. That's what's stunning about this discussion. Look, you need to be honest about yourself about the kind of situations where you think hypothetically that an abortion might be appropriate, and then you have to honestly stop and ask yourself, is it worth killing the child because of that situation, or is it that situation itself that needs to be attacked? Now, if you are anything like me, I would say the situation itself needs to be attacked. You need to, instead of promoting the death of an unborn child, take a far more stronger stance against predators, abusers, rapists, something along those lines. Let's not justify killing an unborn child because, well, something unthinkable happened to its creation that led to their creation. Also, another thing that we have to take a step back and realize is humanity is not that complicated. And I've seen a bunch of, I was sent a TikTok video about a medical professional who's saying, well, I'm concerned about the repeal of Roe v. Wade because as on the medical side, and that's when I stopped right there. I'm like, okay, look, most abortions are not, and this is important to emphasize, medical decisions. No, most women who get abortions do not consult their doctors. That is a fact. They do not walk into their general practitioner. They don't walk with their OBGYN. They don't do any of that. They just go to the Planned Parenthood, to the abortion mill facility, and just get it done. This is not about a woman's health. In the situations, and the woman who's doing this wonderful TikTok video doesn't work in an abortion clinic, of course. No, she works at a labor and delivery center in a hospital. Most abortions don't happen there. Most abortions do not happen in this infinitesimal area of women's health and actual, care and holistic resolution. She is in an area where the health might be drawn into question, where unfortunate situations arise with the baby themselves, where the baby has no brain, where there's even conditions where there's a problem with the cranial cavity and all that horrific things that no mother wants to hear about their infant. And most of those have absolutely nothing to do with the vast majority of abortions that take place today in America. So off the bat, I completely disengaged from this video because it's not telling me, it's not showing me the real picture. It's not being honest about the fact that most abortions in America today had been elective. They were acts of convenience. They had nothing to do with a woman's health whatsoever. So let's go back to the question, to the scenario. Well, it's not for me, it's for someone else. Or someone else might need this service. No, they don't. Most states that have passed abortion restrictive laws already provide ample health exceptions, common sense health exceptions when it comes to abortion. The most common one that's talked about is the form of pregnancy that takes place in the fallopian tubes. That baby is dead for all intents and purposes. There's no way it could grow and develop. There's no way it could come to full term. That is not an abortion. You are removing the fetus, correct, but you're not intending to kill it. It's just going to die as a natural consequence of being removed from its developmental stages so young, so early. Again, most abortions are not from ectopic pregnancies. That's just not true. But again, let's go back to the question. It's not for me, maybe it's for someone else. Look, not all women are noble like you. That's what I have to say to these women. And if you can't imagine yourself getting an abortion, and the scenarios in which you would feel compelled to get an abortion are so outlandish that it would be far more reasonable to fight those scenarios than permitting the death of the unborn, you might want to reconsider your position. You might want to reconsider the morality of the women getting the abortion. If the scenario in which you would yourself justify getting one is so outlandish and so statistically rare that it might not be justified even in your mind. Most abortions that are occurring in this country are not, and this is very important to continue and to help everyone realize. Most abortions that occur in this country that you're trying to fight for, these extremely minute and rare situations, you got to do the math and you got to look at the statistics. And you have to understand that the women who are getting abortions pre this abolition of Roe v. Wade were done by women using birth control, or using abortion as birth control. That's what it comes down to. And you have to come down to with yourself and realize, am I really okay with that? And most of you are not. You are making arguments for the exception rather than the rule. And you're being brainwashed and thinking, well, maybe it's not for me. No, stop that. You have to pretend as if it was you. Actually do the hard work and put yourself in these women's shoes who are getting these abortions. Most of them are terrible people. They do it for terrible reasons. And you have to own up to that this is a horrifying thing. And if you as a woman are honestly saying, I would never get one, then you need to look at the ones getting them and reevaluate their status in your heart and mind. These are not good women. These are not moral women. You need to reassess your position about those women, because I guarantee you, if you could not stomach the idea of killing the life growing inside of you, you will be absolutely disgusted with the majority of abortions. When I say majority, I'm talking in the 90 percentile. You would be disgusted by them. And you should stop giving that answer. That's it, everyone. Stay carnal and God bless.